why do Canadians seem to focus on just a narrow aspect of what your business can provide? If you are not born in Canada, but you're now doing business in Canada, you are in the right place. Click the subscribe button, set up the alert. If this video is useful for you, let us know by clicking like. So let's look at this. Is this how you're looking at the situation? Like a few things, right, that you may be considering. Well, my business has already delivered solutions that are much more complex, much broader than what they want. In other words, well, we have solved problems that are much more complicated than what this Canadian business seems to have. And then you may be thinking, well, and these Canadian buyers, they don't see that my credentials from my previous complex, broad solutions, they really enable me to be a fantastic solution provider for them. I can really solve their problem. What you're trying to say here is like, I already solved things that are much more complicated and they have such a narrow thing. Of course, if they look at everything we've done, they should be convinced that we will figure out and be great at solving their very narrow problem. And here's how typically things work at an emerging country. So I like to think about the supplier of office material, for example, right? So back home, if you sell one specific thing, let's say you sell pens and pencils, and you do a really good job, you always deliver on time, you provide great quality, your price is good, every time they need you, you're there, good relationship, you work through bugs. Next opportunity for any sort of office material, they're gonna call you. They're not gonna call a calculator supplier if they need a calculator. They're gonna call you that sold them the pencil and the paper or whatever. So in other words, back home, what happens very often is once you establish the credibility first, the client will be open to buying a much broader range of products and services from your company. In a place like Canada, where there is a higher trust and probably the suppliers of different things are good enough at what they do, if I'm buying product or service type A, when I'm thinking about buying a type D, I'm not going to be looking for a supplier of A, I'll just look for a supplier of D. So it seems to be a little more fragmented in Canada in terms of when people are thinking about buying a solution. That's why when you try to put together too many different things that you solve back home or too many things that you sell back home or different problems that you solve, people here get confused because they're like, well, but do you sell A or do you sell D? So here's what the confusion comes from. So this is what they're really thinking here in Canada, right? And I want again to emphasize that Canadian here in the context of our videos, Canadian is anybody who has been in Canada for long enough so they have developed a local Canadian way of thinking. It doesn't matter where people were born and raised, which kind of name or accent they carry. But if they think in a local way, that's the people, these are the people that I call Canadians, okay? So this is how a Canadian may be thinking here. Well, it seems that these guys solve too many problems that we don't have here. I'm telling them that I need this, but they are showing me evidence that they already did this, this other thing. And again, this works back home because back home it's important to show the resourcefulness, right? But here, people are not seeing through that. They're focused on getting a solution to their specific problem. When you start to talk about how many other things you solve, you confuse them. They will be thinking, well, it seems they solve too many problems that we don't have. And worse, if you're spending a lot of time talking about different things that your company has a capability for instead of focusing the specific problem that they told you that they have, you will come across as somebody who actually do not have a very deep expertise in exactly what they need, right? The combination of these two things, solving problems they don't have and not being deep enough in the problem that they do have, it shows a poor fit. Right? It's not about how resourceful and creative that your business can be. Well, we can do anything. We're great at solving problems. We have great quality and great prices. And no matter what you need, we can provide to you. Here, actually, when you try to show that your business has too many capabilities, in reality, this plays against your credibility, right? If all this sounds a little complicated, say, okay, how do I position myself? Okay, let's talk about that now. Remember, we have our platform here that's called Your Business in Canada, where we will be by your side, guiding you through the process to build success in Canada, and you'll be doing that together with other foreign-born business people in Canada that are also building their success here. Let's see how you solve this specific situation where Canadians seem to focus in something very narrow and you're trying to demonstrate that you have way more capabilities. What should you do? Well, first thing, don't try to expand their focus. Don't try to force the Canadian to see, well, you're only focusing on this, but look at all these other things we do. Like, people are interested in what they're interested in, right? So at the end of the day, the trust equation in Canada is different. What do I mean by that? Back home, trust comes from the relationships with big names, big multinationals, and that you have, and the resourcefulness. Yeah, I was able to deliver this, and then there was this other complex problem we were able to find. So that's how build trust, right? Builds trust. People say, wow, they're really good. They came up with great solutions for us. In Canada, trust comes from a deep niche expertise and a great fit. So what you need in Canada then is to narrow your focus. Narrow your focus. Even though you have many other capabilities, it doesn't give you good results to try to expand the conversation beyond the problem that your potential Canadian client has. And how do you know that, right? You need to have done your research first. And then your focus, how do you mean by focus? Well, make very simple. Your focus should be at the intersection of two things. A problem that they have that is very significant to them, like it's a big problem. It's a problem that gives them a lot of headache. And your proven success, a proven success case where you can show that you have, your business can show that you have already delivered measurable results in this type of problem that they told you that they have. So the focus is at this intersection. Problem that's important that they have, solution that you have already provided to this problem. Then they're gonna say, wow, yes, I wanna talk to you. That's how you get attention. It's not about trying to show many other capabilities. It's showing at that very narrow focus that you are the right company for that. And finally, what you always need to do is to make it easy for them to decide to become your client, right? Remember, we mentioned here in other videos in our channel that Canadians, they make decisions in a very collaborative way. It's multi-dimensional. It's not just, oh, the product is great, well, but the financing, the payment terms are not great. Or, oh, but the paperwork didn't go well because they still don't have an insurance policy that my company demands from all suppliers and whatever. So you really need to do the homework to know what is going to be required for your business to become a supplier of this company you're talking to. And you need to be ready to show how your solution works in multiple dimensions as a supplier, how you're ready for anything that they need from a supplier. Make it easy for them to choose you because everything is ready. And not like, oh, but the solution is good, but I don't have this, but I don't have that. Oh, but making an exception, try to buy this time, then we're going to see. Canadians are not going to go for it. They're looking for a supplier that's ready to solve that very specific narrow problem. Right? Here are 2 other videos about this topic that are going to be helpful for you.